What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. This is a video overview and review of Out of Dart's Jupiter Blaster. It looks small and unimpressive, right? Do I have your attention? I am still giddy. I've been testing this all morning. I've shot it for about 3 hours straight, and it still brings a smile to my face every time I pull the trigger, for reasons you should understand right now. It's just so satisfying. The rate of fire is insane. It's so small. Let's get into the review. So this is not a normal review because this is not a normal blaster. This is 3D printed from the ground up. This isn't a Nerf brand blaster. It was made by Out of Darts. I've used a lot of Out of Darts products in my mod videos, and I've been happy with every product I've used. If you want to check out the website for this, it's outofdarts.com. Link in the description box to where you can purchase a blaster like this. So what is the Jupiter? It's a blaster built from the ground up to pretty much be the most practical rival flywheel-powered blaster that you can make. There's nothing on it that doesn't absolutely have to be here. External overview of the product starting with the front. There's no in-strike barrel lug. This is a 3D printed muzzle. And in the front you can see the little hop-up notch that adds a little bit of pressure on the top of the rival round to give it backspin to increase the range and performance. Nerf uses the same system. It's not new, but it's implemented in the same way. Up on the top, there's a Picatinny style rail that's 3D printed, so if you want to put an optic or any accessories up there, there's another Picatinny rail under here as well. To the triggers, this is a flywheel powered blaster. The bottom trigger is the rev trigger. It works just like any other rev trigger on a normal Nerf blaster. The design is a little different and took me some getting used to, but now that I'm used to it, it's definitely comfortable. I like it. And to the trigger, this is a fully automatic blaster. There's no selector switch. You can pop off a single round, but it's really tricky. In my experience, I was only able to shoot 2 at once because the rate of fire is that fast. It's just hard to take your finger off the trigger quick enough. But it doesn't seem like this blaster is designed to be shooting in semi-auto. You're supposed to be flinging rounds downrange, like all day, every day. That's kind of what this is built for, I think. Down to the grip, overall it's pretty comfortable. It's pretty ergonomic. It has more of a slant forward than I would prefer, but I'm pretty picky about grips, as you guys know. It's on the smaller side, but this whole blaster's on the smaller side, so that's definitely not a complaint. It seems to me like the design was trying to make it as small as possible, so that's a compromise that I think is pretty reasonable. And in the back is the magazine port. This is a unique magazine port because it doesn't have a magazine release. To get it out, you just pull it out. When you slide it in, there's tension that locks it in place so it doesn't like jimmy out, and if you shake it, it's not going to come off. It's pretty strong. But when you go for it, it's super easy to pull out. Right here is the 12-round rival mag. It's also compatible with the 7 if you want it to be even smaller. And with an adapter plate, it's compatible with the Proton pack, which I'm hoping to review in the future, which is just, I kind of don't want to spoil it for you because it's just so epic. But it's a different loading mechanism. I'll leave it at that. And right above the magazine slot is the battery slot with this little thumb screw, which you don't need a screwdriver to get off. You can use with your fingers, which I'm showing you now. When you take that plate off, it exposes the battery, which is a LiPo. The battery port is an XT60 connector. The battery tray is pretty small in here, so I'd recommend checking out the LiPo pack that Out of Darts sells on his web store. And he really doesn't price gouge. All of his prices on things that he doesn't manufacture are pretty reasonable, so it's just easier to buy the one off his web store because you know it'll fit, because that compartment's pretty small. If you're not familiar with LiPo packs, I am not the right person to teach you. Definitely read into LiPo packs and how to use them safely before you buy one and before you charge it. Know what you're doing so you don't burn your house down. Pretty plox. I'm not an authority on blaster electrics. I don't want to be, so research that on your own. The LiPo battery that he recommends you purchase fits in like a dream with extra slack for the wiring, but as you're running around, it doesn't like rattle, so the spacing is pretty much perfect in my opinion. And seriously, not having to go find a screwdriver to take your battery door off is like a big deal. I'm doing this all the time. I get so annoyed because I never have a screwdriver on me. It's a small detail that makes prepping your Nerf blaster easier. So the blaster is very simple. You have a LiPo pack, you have flywheels, you have a trigger, and you have your magazine that fits in the back. That actually concludes the external overview of the blaster. So to operate, you put in your charged LiPo, you get a full magazine, pretend there's ammo there, you rev up, you pull the trigger, and it fires full auto. Flinging foam for days. Let's see it fire. Full auto. Operating the Jupiter is ridiculously fun. I shot this for hours and hours, way longer than I normally test a blaster for, just because it was so much fun. Spewing ammo at that rate of fire is just so satisfying, and it's so small. It's a different experience than the Prometheus because it's a pistol. It's so little, and you just light somebody up. I did not experience any jams and malfunctions. It's a very basic blaster, so I'd be pretty surprised if it ever did malfunction. And I did a little bit of hardcore parkour for my test, which I normally do, and the magazine never slid out, but it's still easy enough to grab quickly when you need it. That tension, having enough power not to fall out, but not being too stiff when you want to pull it out, that's a difficult balance, and this is done very well. To compare the Jupiter to other rival blasters, which may or may not be fair, I put it up on my chronograph and I achieved an average velocity of 94 feet per second, which is right in line with that rival power of 90 to 100 FPS. Being a homemade blaster, I'm sure some of you are saying, why didn't you make it shoot harder? 94 is normal for a rival blaster, but it's not exceptional, especially compared to the rate of fire. In my experience, when you upgrade a rival blaster and you put a LiPo battery in it and you make the flywheel spin too fast and you try to exceed, 115, 120 FPS, the rival balls will just get destroyed. And you leave that foam dust everywhere in your house because you're destroying the balls because they can't shoot that fast. 94 is perfectly reasonable for a rival blaster. I'm just explaining that so you don't think, well, why didn't you make it shoot harder? That's why. That's the objective information on Out of Dart's Jupiter. Now to my personal opinion, overall, super positive in every single way. Not a single complaint about this blaster. It's similar to the Prometheus in the power that it holds just to fling foam super fast, and that's a unique feeling in Nerf. It just makes me all giddy and smile from ear to ear. It's just ridiculously fun to play with this. Ergonomics and balance are so well designed. You can tell Out of Dart's made different iterations and different prototypes to find a great one, not just the first one that worked. It's very comfortable. It's well balanced. This little finger slot over here is a minor detail, but for people like me that keep their index finger outside the trigger guard, and for non-gun guys, it's not like I'm consciously doing that. That's just where it belongs. The trigger is not a resting place for your finger. You only touch the trigger when you're ready to fire. So this opening over here makes it very comfortable for a right-handed shooter. You can tell it started out this way because then the finger would run into this little lip here, and for people like me who want to have it out here, that's very annoying. I think all of the Doomlands blasters in my experience have this ledge here, which drives me crazy, so I can't really use a Doomlands blaster. It's just a minor detail that you can tell somebody really thoughtfully engineered this thing from the ground up. I like that there's no magazine release because speed reloading is super fast, and I really don't know of a reasonable place that you could actually have a magazine release. And like I showed, it doesn't come out unless you want it to come out, which is nice. It's such a simple blaster, but so it's hard to point out like this is good, this is good, this is good. It's just nothing's bad, and that's kind of what makes a blaster good, in my opinion. It performs well. The rate of fire is awesome. It's no bigger than it absolutely has to be. It's puny considering the firepower it possesses. So nothing but positive comments from me. I'm very happy with the Jupiter and every part of it. That being said, it's not designed for everyone. It is something of a specialty blaster. It would get a little exhausting to use this as a primary if you're only using the 12-round magazines instead of the Proton Pack, which I might review in the future. The biggest annoyance of shooting the blaster is loading up these 12-round magazines when you have this fast rate of fire compared to like a Prometheus, which is hopper-fed. You just drop in 240 rounds and it's loaded very rapidly. It definitely takes more time to hand load all of these 12-round mags, but this is a pistol. The Prometheus is not. This will fit in a holster. This will fit on your hip with a 12-round full-auto mag. That's, if you're within 30 feet of somebody, that's a guaranteed kill. You just point, hold the trigger in one of the 12 rounds because they shoot out so fast, it's almost like a shotgun effect. One of them will hit your target, almost guaranteed. So it's not designed for everybody, but it's designed extremely well for the niche that it fills. If you're interested in purchasing a Jupiter blaster, check out outofdarts.com, link in the description box below. Out of Darts sent me one in completed form, but they also sells it as a kit form, which is much less expensive, but you have to assemble it yourself. This one has blue with a lighter blue accent. You can choose your colors. Because it's 3D printed, it's not injection molded. He can just print it out of a different color if you want to customize it and get your colors instead of mine, because I like blue. And keep in mind, the price is more expensive than a regular Nerf blaster, so it's not really designed for everybody. It is more for the hardcore Nerfers who really know exactly what they're looking for, and this, in many cases, is going to be it. Before purchasing one, super serially, read up on LiPo batteries and how to properly care for them, how to properly use them. It's different than a rechargeable pack because it's not a Nerf blaster. Nerf blasters are kind of dummy-proof. This one's not. You have to be careful with LiPos. Once you learn, though, you have that knowledge forever, and you can use it for the rest of your life, and LiPos are pretty sweet, so definitely look into it. That is my review on Out of Dart's Jupiter blaster. If you're interested in buying one or checking out other products he sells in his web store, I'll put a link to his web store in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, bros, and as always, stay tactical.